y'all, Terry Gigi here. Today I wanted to share a page out of my Bible journal, my prayer journal. I did this page back in September of 2020. It's just a few months ago. It seems like that sounds forever ago. And I wanted to share it with you because I thought about it a lot. And I even went out to the Dollar Tree and got an illustration for it. So here we go. What got me to write this prayer or observation or whatever you want to call it was just the ups and downs of life. And if you think back to September of 2021, it's in the height of 2020, it's in the height of the election, and who even knows what was happening at this time. But there's also, you have that always swirling in your brain, the politics of today, because they're in your face so much. And plus, you've got your regular life, you've got your job, you're trying to deal with COVID, you're trying to make sense of life again, and it's just a lot. So I don't know where my mind was exactly when I did this, but I think it applies to so many areas of our life. And that is living like you're at the end of a yo-yo. Okay, and this will make sense as I read this page to you. Now, this is a little personal, but I'm still going to share it because I think it's important, and I think the illustration might also stick with you. Now, on this particular page, I drew a yo-yo all strung out and a yo-yo not strung out. So one's close and one is all the way out. And imagine that God has got the end of the string on his thumb, on his middle finger, in his hand. I guess that's what you yo-yo with. This is where you are with God. He's got you in his hand. But then there's what happens. Not because God moves, but because you move. So let me get right into it. Of what I just wrote randomly. No, it was just stream of consciousness, you know. Most of my middle adult life has been lived as if attached to a yo-yo. When things, people, or situation goes wrong, I'm strung out. Totally useless to myself or those around me because only 1/4 to 3/4 of me is actually present. The rest of me is being dangled in the air, tossed around, without trusting and knowing that God has got the end of the string with his hand. The length of the string is up to me. I have to allow God to fill me. My trust muscles must grow strength as my fear muscles, which have had years of training, they must be allowed to atrophy. To become an expert at something, you must grow muscle memory, meaning it takes a lot of practice to replace something that you've been doing for years. An expert yo-yoer knows when the string is all the way out, and they know when the string is about to snap back to their hand. So that's kind of the illustration, okay? Now, God's always got you in his hands. If you're a believer and you're walking with the Lord, you're just in his hands. He's never going to let you go. Nothing can separate you from God. Not height, nor depth, nor length, nor width, nor the sea, the ocean, the sky, anything. Nothing can separate you from him. But your feelings can make you feel that way. So I was also thinking, as I was messing around with this yo-yo that has never been used. I've not even tried to yo-yo with it. In fact, I just now took it out of the package it came in, and I'm going to give it to my grandson when I see him in a couple of weeks. There's also a lot of tricks that kids do with yo-yos, or adults do with yo-yos. And I thought of 3 different tricks that really can apply to this illustration. There's the one trick where it's called, I think, Around the World, where the yo-yo is strung all the way out and it's just spinning around, and the person can somehow make it do that. Okay, so that's around the world. So that's like you're just, you feel like you're going in circles. You're just going in circles, and you are in the loop of thinking about something, or being afraid of something or whatever. So you're in the loop, okay? Or there's the other trick that they do where they make that triangle and then they rock. It's sorry, y'all. It's like rock the baby, I don't know. Sometimes they I don't know if y'all even remember these things. I don't even know if people yo-yo anymore. They must, or they wouldn't sell them in the store. So that's another way. You're back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, trusting and fearing, So that's another way you can be that applies to the yo-yo. Another one is the sleeper. I think it's called the sleeper. I'm not really sure, but it's when they string the yo-yo all the way to the bottom and it just spins and spins and spins. And I kind of think about that like we're just spinning our wheels, You're not moving forward, you're not moving backwards, you're just in the same place doing the same thing all the time. Many of us felt that way in 2020. It was like Groundhog Day sometimes, You just doing the same things every day. And I think a lot of us got into a rut, or just into a rut. So, now we're in 2021. It's not much different. Everything's so unsettled. Everything's just we're just strung out, One day this is going to work. One day this is going to work. Get a vaccine. Vaccines don't matter. You still need testing. Oh, we're going to be in this mask for 2 more years. Oh, the masks are going to be gone in a few months. I mean, it's absolute. So you can't trust what anybody's saying, it feels like. But you can trust that God's got you in his hand. And the best way to cope with all of this is to stay as close to him as you can. Very close, where he's got you right here. You're not dangling out with your fears and your worries and your concerns. So that's how I want to live. I want to be close to the holder of the yo-yo itself. So here's something I wrote on the other page, and these are questions that I have had for a long time. And I've gotten better about a lot of this, but some of it I'm still learning. Okay, questions. I wrote this right after I did all that yo-yo thing on that page. Am I allowed to have peace when the world is upside down? How can I be peaceful? Should I be peaceful? Or should I be all wrapped up in everything that comes on every single day? You cannot get away from this stuff you can if you turn your TV off, but there's some things you kind of need to know. You can go on social media and get all kind of things. Even if you went to your trusted news source, you can. The news is not good. So can we have peace in this upside down world that we find ourselves in now? And it's no joke. So can we find peace? Of course we can. But sometimes it just requires being still and just trusting God 100%. And this will ultimately bring us closer to God because so many of our distractions are gone. At this point, Scott and I would be planning big vacations and just doing all the things. And now we're just kind of going day to day. His job is, a lot is going on at his job. So that's really upsetting and unsettling. And then next week, we're getting a lot of things fixed at our house from the hurricane, finally. And that's unsettling because it's cost a lot of money, and we envision how it's going to be, and then you don't know, is it really going to be like that when the guy comes and tries to do it, blah, blah, blah. Okay, another question I wrote. Am I allowed to be happy while one of my family members are having difficulty? You know, I think about my father in memory care. How can I have a happy day knowing that he's having such difficulty in life? How can I be happy? How am I allowed to be happy? Is that fair? Is that right? I struggle with that so much. So much. I struggle with that. And the only way I get past that is if the tables were turned and I was there. Would I want my kids to just, their life be over and they're unhappy for the rest of their life because of my unfortunate circumstances? Of course I wouldn't. But you have to get to that point. Here's another question. Can I not panic when one of my adult children call me with a problem? I take the problem to heart. I just do. And I get very upset. So, yeah, I can decide not to panic. I can decide to get on my knees and pray, then immediately pray and give it to God and know that they're in God's hands. They're not in my hands. I'm not around the corner. I'm not down the street. Ultimately, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that helps them more to stand on their own 2 feet. All 3 of my kids are on their own. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, there's problems that people have, and it just usually throws me for a really big loop. Here's something else I wrote. Can I take a step back from being emotionally connected to others? Like, I'm the type of person that feels what they feel. I experience what they experience. It's so weird, and I hate it. I need to step back. I need to step back and not get emotionally entangled, because then I'm no good to anybody. Can I live peacefully without fear and in full trust during these tumultuous times in our country? Now, I wrote this back in September, and nothing has changed. So anyway, I thought that was a cool illustration that maybe it will come to your mind when you're having problems or feeling weird about everything, trying to figure out everything, trying to make sense of everything in our world. How can we do that? We can just turn to God and be sure that we're not strung out by issues and problems of the day, that as quickly as possible, we remember where our source of peace comes from, and that's the Lord. So that's all I have today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.